At 6'1" and 220 pounds, Zavier Scott is a hybrid offensive weapon working out of the wide receiver, fullback, and halfback positions for the University of Maine. I pointed out Scott in my 5th, 6th, 7th round and UDFA video because I thought he was a serious threat both through the air and on the ground. Scott used his massive 10-inch plus bear claw sized hands to pull in a team leading 42 receptions for 434 yards and a touchdown. On the ground, Scott averaged 9.3 yards per carry with 370 yards and 39 attempts with 4 rushing touchdowns. Perhaps the most impressive skill Scott has and brings to the table is his ability to be a phenom blocker in the open field, both on offense and on special teams. Last but not least, Scott is a physical freak with his 40 in the 4.4s, a 37.5-inch vert, and a 4.11 20-yard shuttle. At 6'1", 220 pounds. Despite having superior physical attributes and a diverse set of football talents, Scott appears to be flying under the radar going into the draft. I believe the New England Patriots should consider Scott as a potential target in the 2023 NFL Draft. Before getting to his pro day numbers, let's talk production. Before heading to Maine, Scott started his collegiate career at UConn, where in 2018 he played in 10 games rushing 210 yards on 34 carries and pulled in 33 catches for 228 yards and 1 touchdown. However, in 2019 he only appeared in 4 games for the Huskies. His fall 2021 season was solid for the Black Bears, where he played in all 11 games, showcasing his versatility on the offensive side of the ball. As a ball carrier, he rushed for 119 net yards on 35 attempts with 2 rushing touchdowns, pulled in 11 receptions for 114 yards and 1 touchdown, with his longest reception being 59 yards. He also returned 3 kickoffs. His 2022 campaign yielded a team-leading 42 receptions, 434 yards, and a touchdown. On the ground, again, 9.3 yards per carry for 371 yards on 39 attempts, with 4 rushing touchdowns. Again, coming from multiple positions on the offense. He was also a stalwart on special teams. Zavier was let loose at Maine's Pro Day. Scott put on exposition. At 6'1" and 220 pounds, Scott clocked a 40-yard dash at 4.49, 20-yard shuttle at 4.11, a 3-cone of 7.04. His vertical was 37.5 inches, his broad was 10, his bench was 16, which gave an RAS of 9.15. We did not get numbers for his 10 and 20-yard splits. This produced a wide receiver RAS of 9.15, which is currently 17th overall after Combine and Pro Days. Among wide receivers at this year's NFL Scouting Combine, Scott's 40 would have been middle of the pack, right in line with Josh Downs, Jordan Addison, and Tank Dell. His vertical would have been in the middle of the pack, but above Zay Flowers, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Jordan Addison. His broad would have been near the bottom, but still in line with Tank Dell and Addison. His shuttle would have been second behind Jackson Smith-Njigba. His 3-cone would have been second, but again, only a few competitors in that. In addition, Scott's bench would have been in the middle. Again, his RAS is currently 17th overall for receivers, but he's still above some top-rated receivers including Jackson Smith-Njigba, Quinton Johnston, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, and Josh Downs. Among running backs at this year's NFL Scouting Combine, Scott's 40 would have been 8th near Bijan Robinson and Evan Hull. His vertical would have been 4th, but above Bijan, and in another stratosphere than Jahmyr Gibbs. His broad jump would have been in the bottom half, but still in line with Tank Bigsby and Roschon Johnson. His shuttle would have been first, but there was only a few competitors. His 3-cone would have been in the middle of the group. In addition, Scott's bench would have been in the middle, tied with Parker Washington. His running back RAS is a 9.42, which is 7th overall. But he's still above some top-rated rushers such as Zach Charbonnet, Jahmyr Gibbs, who was at 8.06. He even beat out speedster Devin Achane. Most of the guys that have the higher RAS scores are your real blue-chip running backs such as Bijan, or your physical freaks such as Chase Brown and Izzy Abanikanda. As a fullback, Scott's RAS is an 8.38 with his speed and agility being elite. However, he is substantially undersized and doesn't have an upper body structure as a traditional fullback. As I mentioned in my introduction, Scott is really flying under the radar in terms of media coverage and analysts. Indeed, it doesn't help that he went to Maine and was on a losing team this past season. He was one of the primary targets on a 2-9 Maine team, so I believe his production was a bit hindered, if you know what I mean. However, NFL scouts that have been scouring tape must have him somewhere on their board. Scott really is a novel talent that has a hybrid skill set and the physical abilities to play just about every skill position on the offense. I am calling Zavier a bear claw thanks to his hand size and his ability to maximize them. First, I can't find any drop balls on tape, and he has plenty of high point catches that displays his hand strength. Also, I don't see any fumbles. Plus, Zavier is an amazing blocker, and his hand size really helps him stick on his blocks. As a receiver, he's a fluid athlete with excellent short area quickness. Scott should be able to create separation, and he has the straight line speed to command some respect down the seam. Zavier appears to be a natural playmaker and is really dangerous with the ball in his hands. A fluid mover capable of creating some separation over the middle of the field, he has big soft hands to provide a sizable catch radius. He shows good sense as a route runner and provides an enormous catch radius over the middle of the field. He also uses his frame to effectively shield defenders on the perimeter. Scott does a nice job locating and tracking deep passes as a legitimate vertical threat. He's also willing to go up and attack the ball. Although he is more of a possession target than a field stretcher, he seems to have a competitive demeanor and a run after catch ability that makes him a major threat in the middle of the field. Scott plays with incredible smoothness and balance and shows a knack for setting up defensive backs. He can beat press with elusiveness and physical contact. He runs fairly crisp routes with sudden cuts. His experience lining up in various alignments gives him a sycamore-sized route tree. He's dangerous in pre-snap motion and was able to get some big yardage on jet sweeps. At 6'1", 220, Scott is a sturdy receiver that was deployed on the perimeter, in the slot, and was also put in some tight alignments in order to be used as a blocker as well. Most receivers that are at or above 220 pounds are big wideouts that are several inches taller than Zavier. Jonathan Mingo is the only wideout that has a similar height and weight to Scott, with Mingo about a little bit over an inch taller. But they have a similar build in terms of both hand size, arm length, and span. So I think you can justify putting him on the perimeter if needed. However, he doesn't have any elite traits that translate to the pro game at this position. Athletically, he's good, but not great to be on the perimeter. At the slot, Scott could be very dangerous in short, intermediate, and deep routes. Unlike most of the top slot prospects, Scott is built like a running back, yet he has the body control and suddenness to create decent separation. An underrated talent for slot guys is their ability to quickly set themselves up right after the catch and get that yak. Scott is superb at this, and his yak numbers are really impressive. Once he gets moving, it's going to take multiple D-backs to bring him down. Go watch the Boston College game. There were some plays where it took 3 or 4 D-backs to bring him down. Seriously. If I wanted to find a comp for the slot, he would kind of remind me of like a bigger Parker Washington, or maybe like a quicker and more agile Elijah Higgins. As a running back, Scott is obviously going to be a natural pass catcher and could be dangerous on swing passes, flares, shoot, angle, rails, or would be outstanding in those bubble screens or noun screens. His stop-start ability in traffic is outstanding. He has great balance, lateral agility, and body control, which all of them allow him to extract just hunks of yardage where it looks like there's nothing left. However, he is at his best when he's working in space, showing the quickness and vision. His start and stop ability allows him just to create initial separation, that burst. It's just outstanding. He's proficient at running out of the traditional setup or taking the ball lined up next to the quarterback in shotgun. His vision is great. You can see it does a great job of making a decision to bounce, bang, or bend. His blocking is really strong and could be a QB's best friend. On the downside as a running back, he doesn't have that big back frame that is going to grind out yardage between the tackles, and he has a tendency to run at a pretty high pad level. He can run the ball, but he's still pretty raw coming out of traditional running back placements. He would obviously be more of a third down back, but yet he still has the height and weight to share the load with a premier back if he develops the skill set. His pro prospects as a fullback are interesting because he's not your stereotypical fullback. However, his run blocking is great, and he would show up on some of those H-back formations as a slot back or as a wing back. He also pulled off some great wildcat plays. The point is, Zavier is dangerous when he's in the backfield, regardless of where he is positioned. For the Patriots, Scott could be a unique offensive weapon that has physical tools and experience to play multiple positions on the offense. This is something that every team should covet, but the Patriots really need to find weapons that are going to make them competitive this year. Having a player like Zavier really could add a few elements to their offense that were missing in 2022. First, he is a mismatch nightmare. He's too big for slot corners, he's too quick for linebackers, and he's too sudden for boundary corners. Obviously, NFL players are going to close that gap, but it could still be enough to have him become a nuisance for defenses. Even just his blocking ability will become a headache. Second, he adds depth across several positions and will be a plus on special teams. Trust me, it is nice to know you got a guy on the sidelines who can play the majority of the snaps. Third, he might be a legitimate answer to the third down pass catching running back. He has the hands, the experience, and the blocking ability. The speed, the quickness, everything seems to be there. Fourth, ball security. His 10-inch plus bear claws latch onto the ball. Again, I don't see any drops or fumbles. How many heartbreaking drop balls did we see last year? How many fumbles cost us the game last year? It would be nice to know we have someone who doesn't let the ball out of their hands. Fifth is an X factor. The Patriots need something that is unique that might make their offense come alive. Scott is great coming out of motion, something we didn't have last year. He's reliable at blocking both as a receiver and out of the backfield, something that was kind of missing last year. And these things were not only missing in terms of schemes and play calling, but were also in terms of talent. What receiver was great out of motion last year? Who was your best blocking back last year? Did we have a reliable third down back last year? Not only are these important for the offense, but they're critical to Mac Jones. Let's talk about Mac Jones and Devonta Smith at Alabama. Smith was a dynamic receiver who was dangerous in a variety of different sets. However, he was incredibly dangerous in motion for the RPO. Moving him in motion gets the eyes moving on the defense and allowed Mac to scan the defense and make his reads. Mac could look and say, how is the defense going to deal him out? Where is the balance on the defense? Well, without running motion, you're not opening up the curtain for Mac, and you are suffocating his best asset, to read and react. Having Zavier out there in the slot coming in on motion should get the defense reacting, but if you run a jet sweep without responding to the motion, he's probably going to beat the linebacker, and now you got a 6'1", 220 running back running full steam towards a single corner. If they do deal him, you could see who has him, and now you can run an RPO towards the weakness in open space. Or you could have Zavier reverse course and take advantage of the pre-snap separation that he just created. Again, not only was this not schemed up last year, they didn't have the personnel to pull it off. Pierre Strong would have been probably pretty great if he was put out in the slot. Thornton could run a decent jet sweep, but I don't want to put him in that motion repeatedly, when I could use his afterburner to force the top of the defense to retreat to create even more space. I also really like the idea of Zavier being that slot back, wing back, or even H-back in the Bill O'Brien offense. If you are unacquainted with what a wing back, slot back, or H-back is, these are usually lined up right off the back outside hip of the offensive tackle or tight end, or an H-back is similar, but they can be directly behind the offensive tackle or behind one of the interior gaps, which at that point they become what they call a sniffer. They're kind of like a tight end, but off the line of scrimmage. H-backs are typically bigger than wide receivers, or they're very athletic tight ends due to their ability to block. But they are still quick enough to get out in the short route, 10-yard dig, or 10-yard out, or even attack the flats. The blocking aspect is key here, because the H-back can perform a variety of different blocks from that position in the formation, like a lead, kick out, wham, trap, insert, an arc, an alley, motion wrap, slice. and of course an ISO. The H-back can also take advantage of some of the tight end routes, like a pop route or an arrow route. If you really want to get creative, you can work in some shovel passes as well. Admittedly, H-backs are typically very athletic tight ends that can block and are very sudden. So like a Sam Laporta, Tucker Kraft, Luke Schoonmaker, or even Brenton Strange. We could also look to someone like Hunter Lupke for this role as well. So Zavier would be great in the candidate to put in that slot back or wing back formations, like the variations of bunch formation. A great example would be like a gun bunch. Zavier could be an easy target on those quick high percentage throws from the flanker. Another interesting role for Zavier would be an F receiver, or what they call an F back, or what I'd like to call a flex back, which is often just an offset fullback or directly beside the quarterback in a shotgun/pistol. This is very similar to an H-back and a fullback, but the players are typically closer to a halfback or receiver in terms of measurables and responsibilities. These guys typically line up like a sniffer and can help with the run game, but their rushing and pass catching abilities are a bit more dynamic and can run boot slides and curl flats, even being that third receiver in a cross route. In addition, they are really dangerous out of motion, where they can really get up to speed to force the defense to start committing before the snap of the ball, thus opening numerous RPO opportunities. One of my favorite flex backs is Kyle Juszczyk, who has essentially defined the position and has moved it away from the traditional fullback role. I'm not saying Zavier is Juszczyk, but the position exists in modern football and can create mismatches when used correctly. The take home to all this is the Patriots need to create mismatches at several positions, and Zavier's going to either have a size edge, a speed edge, or some other edge if he's lined up in the slot, wide, or in the backfield. For the draft, Zavier can be that safety net for the Patriots if they miss out some of their top targets in those positions. Now, I'm not saying the Patriots should pass on JSN because Zavier might be an equivalent slot receiver, or skip Laporta, or forget Izzy Abanikanda, but it's nice to have some insurance if those guys go off the board, or you feel like you need to have a backup or create some competition. Zavier could really bring some additional value in the late rounds. It would be a great option to add an X factor to their arsenal outside the day 1 or day 2 of the draft. Now, the questions are, do the Patriots want him? Where would they take him? Right now, I see him going UDFA based on the lack of chatter. However, I believe he's well worth the day 3 pick. So the Patriots might have to use a draft pick on him if they feel like anyone else is eyeing Zavier. I would love to see him in Foxborough. So there you have it, my thoughts on Zavier Scott. What do you think about Zavier? Should the Patriots draft him? Where should they draft him? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like my content, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.